slide. Yeah. What is important? The very important factors which we see there in nanomaterial is by virtue of cutting down the size, one sees the powders which was otherwise very, very heavy, very, very, small surface area powder now has become a big surface area. Means the same amount earlier you were was occupying suppose just about 1 centimeter square. Now it is occupying about maybe 10 centimeters square, maybe higher than that 1 centimeter. So what you will realize is after making very high surface area. Uh, Very early days, many people didn't realize how it will be realized. But simply, okay, if you spread it in the laboratory, you can visualize. It becomes very fluffy. It becomes very porous. It becomes very lightweight, and that is one of the characteristics of nanomaterial. When talk about something semiconductor nanoparticle, you will feel that why it should behave differently because there is a concept of size quantization effect. The quantum uh, size effect, which is very popular by virtue of certain phenomena in physics. So, metal nanoparticle, so surface plasma resonance, high surface area, and change electrical, chemical, and other properties. Similarly, semiconductor nanoparticle are identified by their effective size quantization effect. Then what other things can happen? The high thermal electrical conductivity can be achieved, altered and improved mechanical properties, electrical and electronic. Altered. I will not say they are disturbed properties. New properties have been associated with the nanoparticle. The old properties have been altered. Suppose certain thing has X, Y, Z value of electrical or mechanical engineering, it may multiply for positive in positive direction. So improved property. You can alter at will. Like if you want certain things to be X and you want to create a X minus one, you can create that by virtue of playing with the atom. And practically, you will see that how we will demonstrate you a little later. Then we have come up with wonderful terminologies which were not existing in chemistry earlier, but people were hesitant to take. Tailored, tailored support on matrices, tailored properties. This means you are tailoring the nanoparticles. Earlier days, tailoring was only associated with textile. Today, in science and technology, we are tailoring the properties, we are tailoring the atoms, we are tailor masters. Okay. So being a chemist, you are a tailor master. Now, how funny it sounds because many of us who will, make little humor out of it. That I'm a scientist, but what is scientist? That someone, something who will make something. So making is what? We try to tune the properties, we try to fix the diameter, we try to fix the length, we try to do all that kind of things. So we are tailor. Okay, and then what do you do with our tailoring? We have certain machines. Obviously, we use those machines. It's not sewing machine. It's other kind of machines. Chemicals are our machines. The reagents are our machines. They are tailoring each other. Now, the tailoring of the material we do, and then tuned optical property we achieve. So that means by tailoring, what we are doing, fixing length, fixing size, fixing properties, fixing diameter, fixing orientation. So you are tuning the material to behave differently under different sources of energy. And then very important is uh, material can be water loving or it may start hating water. Suppose you have a metal which is a finger, suppose there is a gold ring or gold metal. You put water around it, water doesn't get absorbed. But if I create the nanoparticle of the same gold and I cover the surfaces which will absorb water, so I will generate hydrophilicity. And if I cover the surfaces which will repel the water, so I will generate hydrophobicity. So I can do that, and I mean, not I, people can do it, and therefore it is possible to again make them either useful for water or aqueous medium applications are useful for non-aqueous medium applications. For example, any electronics application will, will require particles to be away from water and moisture. So if I have a hydrophobicity, hydrophobic characters around the particles, I can take them towards electronics applications, right? For LED, for any other. If I have imparted hydrophilic character, then I can use them in biology and biomedical applications. You see, these are some of the applications you must have already been shown yesterday. So today I can say only thing, all walks of life, we are going through nanotechnology practices and products and applications. You can imagine around you, whatever you may be having, I can very confidently say that some degree of nanotechnology is involved around, and therefore our life has become much better than what it was many years ago. I will not be able to name any product because this session is very different. Then if you talk a little bit on defense application, what applications may have emerged in defense sector? Uh, everywhere in defense sector nowadays, nanotechnology. I come from a defense institute. Obviously, we will have some liking for it. You can call textile, defense textile. Soldiers wear all kind of textile, which is called as a smart uniform nowadays. That might be equipped with sensor and many devices within the soldiers using these devices have sensors, and obviously those sensors are generated from various nanomaterials. Security concerns are taken care by nanotechnology at very precise level, very accurate level. Logistics and all satellite weapons, naval bases, aerospace, vehicles, whatever you can name, some part of element, some elements of nanotechnology is there. In what way it is different than civilian application? It is a tuned application towards a specific sector. Otherwise, material remains same. So let us move further. Uh, I am going to talk today is how to make them. Another 5 minutes, we will be on the bench for, for demonstrating. Two approaches, all of you will know as a general knowledge nowadays, top down, you will big items are cut down to the pieces to smaller one. Eventually, through some technological advancement, you reach to nanomaterial. Number two, bottom up approach, where the small atoms you assemble and eventually you dictate the term how and when I will stop and how I will control. So what are these things? These are pictorial things I have taken from the internet, not violating anybody's copyright, I guess. I have given the source name very clearly. It is only to make you very interesting. There are two methods, top-down approach, mechanical milling, etching, laser ablation, sputtering, and electro explosion. There could be other things also. The simple concept is break down the big items into small. And the bottom up approach, you have various approaches within that. One can think of supercritical fluid synthesis, then spinning synthesis, sol gel process, laser pyrolysis methods, chemical vapor deposition, molecular condensation, chemical reactions, green synthesis, all kind of things. Some can be done in beaker, some cannot be done in beaker. So simplicity, I'll show you what can be done in a beaker. Then these are the two method differences. In top-down method, as I said, the big thing can be broken to small, and bottom-up can be small thing can be created into clusters through some physical forces. So various chemical methods are there. I'm a chemist, a turned nanotechnology person, so obviously we love the chemistry and chemical methods. Uh, Within the chemical methods, you have varieties, and one is colloidal method, another is co-precipitation method, then sol-gel method, hydrothermal, solvothermal, sonochemical, microwave, so many electrochemical, photochemical. Each one is very exciting in its own right, and you, being a chemist, start loving them to see that what is the difference between the nanoparticle I will make through colloidal method versus the photochemical method. Suppose, for example, it gives too much of insight when you dwell into it and then understand that what could be the reagents. While in colloidal method, I will be using the reagents directly at a certain concentration. In photochemical method, I am generating the photons through certain sources and trying to generate the same material. Eventually, I am excited to understand what goes into it and why certain are colloidal methods are different than the photochemical of the same material. Sometime may be same, sometime may be different. So this is very exciting to learn and to practice. What is the advantage of chemical method? Physical methods, I say, they have their own advantage and disadvantage. Every method has, limitations. So chemical methods, simple techniques, very straight, A plus B, something will happen. Inexpensive instrumentation. I take a beaker, I take certain chemicals, and I take a UV visible machine, which is costing about 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees, to demonstrate, to learn that I am doing into, something into nano. It is low temperature synthesis, normally about 300 degree, 350 is too much I have written, maybe 200. Mostly metal nanoparticles I will make at room temperature, right? Unless otherwise I want to impart something else and give a heat treatment and all. But the particle making itself is possible at room temperature, which everybody is doing, not alone me. So doping of foreign atoms is possible. When you have a material, you have a structure, and each atom is fixed in a simple places. Obviously, you have scope sometime to energize it further by doping, by bringing in something else. So that is possible very easily by chemical method because you can play with the atoms. Large quantity of product can be obtained. Product in the sense powder. So for I want to make 1 kilo nano powder, I think nano chemical methods. Anything you are making big, you are going through the chemical processing. All materials are going through chemical processing. Nothing is coming directly from somewhere else. So the chemistry plays role, chemical engineering plays role, mechanical engineering plays role, and therefore, you have ease of operation through chemical methods. That's what I believe is strong. Next is, how do I analyze? So a little bit of optical spectroscopy is required uh, by using UV visible spectroscopy, by UV, absorption emission spectroscopy, the IR spectroscopy, sometimes the Raman spectroscopy for a very specific, very specific understanding. Now, in UV visible IR and Raman spectroscopy technique, they involve the interaction of photons with species in the form of a light, which is the source of the in the machine. Obviously, that light gives you certain wavelength, and that wavelength is associated with certain photons. So results in energy transfer. That results in the energy transfer, and from the ground state to excited state, the valency band to conduction band. All kind of fundamentals are involved, and obviously that gives you certain picture and certain behavior is recorded. So the vibrational frequencies in the IR and Raman can be understood, uh, can give you the idea about what is the functionality, what groups are present around the nanoparticle. Nanoparticle is of metal. So you will see metal does not show anything, but it is a nanoparticle, it is functionalized, its surfaces are tuned because you want certain properties. Obviously, you need to see how well I have tuned, how well it is behaving, and what application will be possible. Sometime application may not be in the mind, but looking at the property, one can decide the application. And sometime, most of the time nowadays, we make them keeping application in mind. So we will analyze them to see whether my application in mind is matching the requirement or not. So many style of doing it. Uh, Specific to the quantum dot, what is a quantum dot? Is a quantum dot are semiconductor that are in nanometer scale, and here the excitions are confined in three-dimensional space. That's the characteristics of quantum dot, where the energy band gap increases with decrease in particles size. Now, this is another phenomena in nanoparticles that in semiconductor, you have a band gap. You have a valency band and you have a conduction band. So the electrons are here and they will jump here. Now, what will happen when the size is reduced? That this gap will increase. Once you are able to increase or decrease this gap, you will be able to play with the properties of the semiconductor. Right? There are various kind of semiconductor, which is very popular in terminology of physicists and chemists and nanotechnologists and generally the scientist and engineer. It is various combinations of elements from the periodic table. So group 2 elements of periodic table can combine with group 6 of periodic table, you see the 2,6 semiconductor. The popular of them are group 2 elements zinc, cadmium, mercury, and group 6 element sulfur, selenium, tellurium. So if you will have heard it already, zinc sulfide, zinc cadmium sulfide, zinc telluride, cadmium telluride, mercury telluride, mercury sulfide, all kind of things. Now, oxide is not called as 2,6 quantum dots or semiconductor because oxide have been placed differently in, because they are different material, although they are also semiconductor. So they have the same band gap and all. Now, discovered this, I will take you to a specific 2,6 now, focusing with CDSE, CDS, and CDTE. There are three examples we can talk at the moment, and in 2 minutes, I will start showing you the demonstration related to CDS. Right? So CDS, this picture shows you the blue, red, blue, green, and red dots are shown here. They will be dependent on the band gap, the gap between valency band and conduction band, which can be tuned, and then you can generate these kind of properties. All kind of semiconductor quantum dots can be made. If you are making 4-6 combinations from the periodic table, you can use them for a different application, because look at the web absorption coming about 900 nanometer. And if you are combining 2,6 in the visible region, the cadmium based, and if you are combining 2,6 in the ultraviolet region with zinc based, you can evolve different applications. I'll now take you to a very specific example, which in this slide about cadmium telluride with the CDT, the typical band gap of 1.45, and this can be made by various methods. But here is something: if you take cadmium chloride and add some, surfactant for covering the surface of the quantum dots, you need to add certain functional molecules, certain surfactant, which can protect the surfaces, and then balance the reactions and bring the reaction condition in such a way that it will react, and eventually you will see that orange color solution is formed, and then source of tellurium if you want to make CDT, source of selenium if you want to make CDAC, and source of sulfur if you want to make CDS. So here we are making CDT. The source of tellurium is sodium Na2TeO3, sodium telluride, which is available in the market, which is otherwise not being used for CDT. But of late, scientists have evolved a new method by using the cheaply available, precursors. Earlier time, it was all very expensive precursors, but nowadays things have changed. Now, if you make this, I'm going to show you in the beaker, you will see the flask, you will see the original color of the reaction is this, but when I will subject it to photonic light, I will set the green color. Now, is it not exciting to you as a glimpses of the demonstration that you have certain color liquid in your hand, and when you pass photons through this of certain wavelength, you will see the glow is happening. Now that is closer to light emitting diode applications, light light emission properties of the quantum dot, and this is happening because of effective quantum confinement and because of the jumping of electrons from the ground state to excited state and then trying to come back, and then in the middle they are traveling through some hurdles, and they form some trap states, and therefore those kind of energies are recorded. Now, in order to make you understand how do I calculate a band gap energy, you will by this time know everything. But suppose the absorption of this solution. This is the solution which is quantum dot of CDTE in the beaker, in the flask, the orange color. And if this absorption, you will see here, various absorption are shown in figure on the left side. 75 minutes, 100 minutes, 120 minutes. So you will see mostly that is coming about 450 nanometer, 480, just about 500 nanometer. These are different at different temperature. So I've taken the best one as 200 nanometer, 200 minutes. reaction, and this 200-minute reaction has given you a band absorption at 480 nanometer. And a very simple formula exists as hc by lambda. And if you go through hc by lambda, the formula equation, obviously the hc calculation gives you a unit of 1240, which is constant. And then if you divide that by the lambda, uh, 480, you end up having a band gap at 2.58 electron volt. Now, this is a band gap calculation from the absorption spectrum. Similarly, one can see the band gap calculation for particles which are emitting the light through the highest intensity peak, and so on. So it is very important for someone who is trying to practice the nanoparticle quantum dot synthesis to know two, three things. What is the bulk band gap? How I am tuning it? So what is the role of various functional groups? What is the role of various chemicals? And then if I have made it, what, how I will analyze. So first thing first, absorption spectrum you will record, and then you will record the emission spectrum if you have fluorescence spectrophotometer. This is emission spectrum photoluminescence, which is through spectrophlorometer. And left side is the absorption spectrum, UV visible spectrum through the UV visible spectrophotometer. Now, UV visible spectrophotometer is in Indian make. India's manufacture will cost about 2.53 lakh rupees, and photoluminescence also will be about 3 to 4 lakh rupees. So, in a smaller place, also one can think of doing the quantum dot type of nanotechnology. And it does not require any special skill other than being a good chemist. So, not to say anything about any other discipline person, but maybe if you are a mechanical engineer or electronic engineer, if you are looking for making certain LEDs which will emit a green color, you may catch hold on of a chemist person and tell him that this is what I want to make, and a little bit of smart training may lead to something useful. Now, I will end the presentation here and take you to the practical. Now that practical is coming your way for next half an hour or so, and you will be able to see usefulness.
लागले ना काय Hello, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
छोड़ो अंशु, छोड़ो।
ठीक है।
ये तुम्हारा ना अंशु बहुत, तुम मुझे इधर आती हो और मुझे तुम डिस्टर्ब करती हो रोज।
ये खोला क्यों?
नहीं खुला, तुम अटका दो कान में। अंशु,
काला वाला।
पाचा बच्चा একটা।
Yeah, I don't understand why.
हाँ, ये लीजिए आप, ये आप ले। मुझे ब्लू वाला चाहिए, ब्लू। थैंक यू। ठीक में छोटा।
अंश अच्छी है बेटा।
No audio, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Sir?
sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear. We can hear
You
your
hear
voice.
me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is a serious
Yes, sir.
network
Can hear
issue.
you, sir.
Okay. So can you hear me?
मैं करती हूँ, मैंने ऑडियो ऑफ किया
On करो. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You are
Let
audible,
me
sir.
demonstrate you the experiment which I want to do. This is cadmium chloride. This is cadmium chloride. Okay. If you can see, this is a beaker, and in that I have taken cadmium chloride solution, CdCl2, of known amount and dissolved in water, which is a distilled water. Okay. Now I'll put it here. Can you see this here? Yes. The another solution I have, which is much clearer, and this is called as sodium sulfide, Na2S. Sodium sulfide is commercially available. Cadmium chloride is also commercially available. And these two very cheap chemicals, very simple chemicals, can convert and produce nanoparticle of cadmium sulfide. That too, quantum dots of cadmium sulfide. So there is a difference. One should try to understand the same material nanoparticle CDS. If it is more than 10 nanometer, they are not called quantum dots. It is normally called nanoparticles of CDS. The quantum dot phenomena starts because of the Bohr radius, and normally it is very effectively visualized and realized at less than 10 nanometer diameter. So we will be able to show you nanoparticle of CDS which are actually going towards the quantum dots. Now I will put a stirrer. I'm going to put you a magnetic bar which is here. It goes into the beaker to stir the solution. Now to homogenize and stir the solution, I have put this. And this is a magnetic hot plate come stirrer, right? So this is stirring at the moment, and then there is, once it is 2 minutes stirred and homogenized, we will add other reagent in this. एक बार में म्यूट करो तो म्यूट नहीं होता, क्लिक नहीं होता मुझे, है ना? Anyway, there are a lot of problems. So this is another chemical which I'm going to add, which is surfactant. This will do what? When the cadmium is reacting with sulfur, making cadmium sulfide, it will try to cover the layer. It will try to cover the surface by creating a layer around the particles so that another particle does not come close to and get clustered. So they will be separately moving around freely and will not result in clustering. Such things are used so that surfaces are protected, as the nanoparticle which will have very little number of atoms in the beginning, because this is the bottom of approach, so-called colloidal nanoparticle making approach. Obviously you will see that uh, the atoms are very less in the beginning, and they will tend to collapse, and once they will be collapsing, obviously they will cluster, and clustering will result into non-dispersion and poor quality sample. To avoid clustering, we need to have certain surfactant. They are very popularly known as surfactants, and these surfactants can be variety of material. I have chosen something called 2-mercaptopropionic acid. This is which will have sulfur present into it as part of functionality along with COOH. Now I will add little bit of this to impart some uh, this I am taking a little bit. I at the moment I don't want to go very quantitative because it is a demonstration only, and I have added almost half a milliliter into a 50 milliliter solution. I will show you by bringing closer to you. This I am adding, the surfactant I am adding here, and it will not cause any change. It is only to protect the layer. Little bit whiteness, murkiness has come, and I will stir it again. Okay, now this is making a cadmium complex of that mercaptopropionic acid. It's an intermediate complex which is being made. Now that complex will help us retaining the slow release of the cadmium ion and reacting that cadmium ion with sulfur anions, so they can come and combine. Sulfur anions will come from Na2S. That I will in a minute add little bit. Another stopper. These are some droppers which are disposable droppers in everybody's laboratory. They can be found and they are very cheap. So I will now take a little bit of sodium sulfide solution and take it here, right? And I will add slowly to see that you will see that the change in color will observe. This one, you see that I have added only one drop so far. Now a little more, and you can see that yellowness has started coming. I'll be able to see the yellowness. Yeah. So this is now turning yellow, indicating the formation of CDS, which is basically off-white to yellow in color actually. And this yellow color is by virtue of the size quantization effect, because otherwise cadmium sulfide is a very orangish reddish color when it is a bulk material. And then because of the size quantization effect and because of the nano size, it has changed its appearance in terms of color, because the band gap is increasing. Now, change in band gap is related to change in particle size. So this is what I can say, that since the color is changed, then the original bulk color is brownish color rather, dark brownish color. That brown color, yellow brown color has changed to off-white color. Now this means you have changed a micrometer CDS, which is available commercially, suppose, which is of dark yellow, orange, brownish type of color. That has changed to the small yellow color. That means micrometer particles have gone down to nanometer. So nanometer is a proof here that since it is this color, it is nanometer. If it has become darker and darker and darker, that means the nanoparticle size is growing, and that size growth will cause the more number of atoms to come together, cluster, and then the color will change. Now here I can show you, this is the initial color, which is the yellow color, light yellow color. But if I will stir it for more time, and then eventually you will see little more darker color, right? But if I will add more of the reagents, I can grow the particles. At the moment there may be some particle of CDS, some still may be of cadmium propionic acid complex, and some may be of sodium sulfide unreacted. So if I will add more of this, I will end up perhaps creating more darker color by virtue of generating more cluster and bigger particles. Eventually you will be able to filter them off, centrifuge them, and get this kind of powder, right? Can you see this powder? This powder comes from that experiment. Now this powder is to be analyzed. This is cadmium sulfide quantum dots of about 5 to 10 nanometer size. Okay, so this has come from that experiment which is going on, and that experiment takes normally 1 hour to complete to be able to say good quality, which is not possible to demonstrate for 1 hour. So I have already made this CDS a couple of days ago, and this is what it will come from there. And we got to record the UV spectrum of this to understand whether we have made the quantum dot or not. So if we can show you this, the UV spectrum of this, you will have to make solution in the cuvette. There is a cuvette here.
Sir, your video is off for a long time. We can't see anything. Now it came. Okay.
The machine I will show you. Yeah, and the machine has provision to keep this kind of cells in which the quantum dot solution which you will make, it will go there and it will measure against a reference. So you will have a reference and you will have a sample in such kind of cells, which will be kept in a machine which is here. And that machine I can show you little bit. I think most of you will know the machine. It is known as UV visible spectrophotometer, and little bit I will tilt my, this is the machine here. This is the machine here. Okay, this machine is here. You can come this way. Okay, this is a UV visible photometer. This machine has a chamber. In that chamber, this is a double beam machine. The light source is coming from the two. One of the beam will have a reference cell compartment and another will have sample compartment. So this is the reference compartment first. The first cell is the reference compartment, and the second I've taken into the cuvette, which we call the cell here. That sample is going into the machine now, and we will show you the recording of spectrum. Can you see this? This light for the ऐसे दिख जाएगा something you will see. There is anything. Okay. नीचे रखो. Yeah. So now you are seeing the UV spectrum of CDS, which will be somewhere about 350 to 400 nanometer, about 400 nanometer I'm expecting, depending on the size of the particle which might have come here. The idea is to show you that a UV spectrophotometer can become handy for analyzing the efforts which is done in the laboratory, and this UV spectrum is the one which was shown in the last slide. Suppose the last slide you can recollect of the presentation where various UV spectrum were shown. One of that is coming like this. In fact, all of them will come from this machine. So you can appreciate that you are able to make it, as well as through the UV photometer, spectrophotometer, you are able to analyze that what absorption you are getting, which will be correlated with the band gap of CDS. Instead of wasting much time on this, if I can just show you the figure which is already recorded in the past, because the live demonstration sometime because of internet issues and machine performance is difficult. So in the past we have already done it, and I'll show you one of the spectrum, how it comes. Take any one. Give the timer.
15 minutes बचे
And where is the, yeah, this is another solution. This was a solution which I shown in the last slide, which was green emitting, which is CDTE, cadmium telluride. Okay, now you will see, I can show you this solution which was otherwise not glowing. It is not glowing at the moment. This is a yellow off color solution, and it is quantum dot of CDTE, about 4 to 5 nanometer. But if I will bring closer to the light, photonic light, this is going to glow. Can you see the fluorescence of green color?
Yes, sir.
Come closer. Is it possible to see, visualize? Are you able to see? Okay. So this is the green emission. The green emission is happening because of the absorption, because of the electrons jumping from valence band to conduction band and then falling back via the some stopgap, trap formation, and therefore you see the emission. So when it is light emitting quantum dot, you will then think of using them, and the wavelength is absorption is say 500 nanometer straight away, just to fix the number. So 1240 is the formula divided by lambda, and if you will see that 500 is divided, it is divided by 500, so band gap will come somewhere around 2.5 electron volt, suppose whatever is the lambda from there. Now you know that 2.5 electron volt equivalent energy is coming from this. Now can this become a source of energy for something, or can this become useful in that that wavelength region? So fluorescent tags in biology and disease cell detections are using this kind of fluorescent material. So this can become useful for identification of disease cell in biomedical sciences. Then if I can transfer this into the hydrophobic material and make water free, then this can go as a light emitting diode material. The green light, green light emitting diode can be made, green LEDs, provided I can or you can make into non-water solvent. This is currently in water solvent because the purpose was something else. And then green quantum dots of about 3 to 5 nanometer size. Now imagine that 3 to 5 nanometer is how small, you are not able to visualize. We are also not able to visualize where is the particle. But by virtue of its optical behavior, we are able to comment that based on certain phenomena, based on certain equation, and based on certain calculation driven from using the wavelength of absorption, I'm able to conclude that it is green light emitting with a band gap of 2.5 and with the particle diameter of 3 to 4 nanometer, 3 to 5 nanometer. This is CDTE, which we have made earlier and shown you in the slide. Okay. So with this, one more, I think suggest that we will end this session here and interact with you for any questions which might be there in your mind, and see how well you have received it and whether you felt comfortable, because of we are sorry for certain gaps in presentation in terms of internet difficulty, and that is not in everywhere in the DIT, but it is somewhere in particular room, because this is an instrument room where the internet was not supposed to be there, but we have tried to bring internet here and have some teething problems. So all of you, you can ask some questions if you like to.
Sir, I am having one question, sir.
This is the green, yellow color CDS which we made today, and its absorption is about 400 nanometer. And this is the powder which will come out of this, which can be redispersed in water and can be useful for whatever application one wishes to. So what is the purpose of demonstrating here is not that what nanoparticle will be useful for what. The purpose of this lecture, which I proposed, was that can the nanoparticles be made in a beaker? Can the nanoparticle be made in a beaker? Can the nanotechnology be defined as the simplest of the two technology to begin with having very high-end applications? And can the participant who are from different places, some from privileged institute, but some from not so privileged institutes, and can they come to conclusion that I can also do nanotechnology? The purpose of the FDA course, FDP course in nanotechnology is to motivate the participant and students to see how they can get involved with the simple form of nanotechnology to begin with, and eventually can take off for a bigger gain. Okay. So thank you so much. You can shoot the questions to my email. By the way, if you are not having any question in mind at the moment, you can you have my email. You can obtain the email from the group. You can shoot the question to me by emails. I will be very pleased to reply to your emails with appropriate answer where you will feel that yes, your questions have been addressed. Thank you so much for attending this demonstration session.
If you have any questions, please ask. So, if there are no more questions, I thank Professor P.K. Khanna for his wonderful hands-on session and showing how these nanoparticles are made and different ways of chemical synthesis routes and their applications actually. So now I thank Professor P.K. Khanna for this wonderful talk. We will break for tea now for 15 minutes, and after that we'll again rejoin at around 11:15 for the next session. One more thing I request all of you, please join by 9:40, okay? Because even now also we are admitting participants, which is not good. Attendance are recorded and they are taken. So within 10 minutes, once the session starts, please join. After that, we may not be in a position to admit participants. Okay, so we'll break for tea now.